A major breaking news update here about the future of our nation. This is Mike Adams at counterthink.com. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be reading a lot of notes here. So, President Trump has summoned to the White House and given a presidential order to Rod Rosenstein of the DOJ and, of course, Wray of the FBI, and has ordered them to investigate the espionage that has been committed by the Obama administration and its officials against the 2016 political campaign. They're also going to be investigating the criminal misuse of government resources used to affect the outcome of a U.S. election and unlawfully circumventing the U.S. Constitution by involving British intelligence. A British intelligence asset was used here to surveil Americans inside the USA without probable cause. Now, I'm reading some notes from multiple websites here. I've got Zero Hedge coming up. I've got an article on InfoWars, and I've got Hal Turner's website. He's a radio host who was imprisoned by the Obama administration for publishing an editorial that was unkind to Chicago judges, apparently. I don't know the guy, but that's apparently the story. Here are some of the notes that he writes that are very, very important. FBI Director Christopher Wray and Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, that's the DNI, have been summoned to the White House for a meeting to receive an order directly from the President of the United States. Ken Wray of the FBI, Rod Rosenstein is there, and Dan Coats. And the investigation is a full-scale criminal investigation of the espionage perpetrated during the Obama administration by the FBI and other U.S. agencies in collusion with intelligence assets of foreign governments, the United Kingdom, against the 2016 Trump for President campaign in violation of United States laws. There was a request by former President Barack Obama for the British intelligence agency known as MI6 to engage in electronic signals and telephonic interception inside the United States of America. This is key to understand. Obama unlawfully invoked foreign spies and foreign intelligence, MI6, bypassing the normal routes of intelligence sharing in order to illegally spy on Obama's political opposition in the United States. This is so much bigger than anything Watergate ever was. This is treason. This is corruption. This is a direct attempt to defraud the American people and to alter the outcome of an election by falsely accusing your political opponents of crimes of treason that you, in this case Obama, is actually engaged in. It's incredible. A source in the intelligence community says that the war with the deep state just broke out into public. And another source says, as quoted here on Hal Turner's website, that shit just got real. Trump just went into the commander-in-chief kick all your asses mode. 7 other former colleagues from the intelligence community confirm today's developments, and they concur with the assessment, which is as follows, and this is the bombshell news. This action is being initiated to, quote, strip Barack Obama of his presidential pension, Secret Service protection, and then imprison him, along with Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Lynch, and others. You understand? Barack Obama may be going to prison. John Brennan, I'm sure, is going to prison. Loretta Lynch is probably going to prison. James Comey should be going to prison as well. I've actually called for the arrest of these individuals in previous podcasts. Now, sure, they should all be granted a fair trial. They should be able to present a defense if they have any, and the prosecution can present the evidence, which is overwhelming. But Barack Obama is a treasonous criminal. He is a traitor. He spied on Americans illegally, specifically targeting his political opponents to try to help Hillary win. He abused and exploited the power of government. He turned his administration into a vicious weapon against the freedoms and liberties that every American citizen is supposed to enjoy. And he did this for political purposes. And Barack Obama may be going to jail. which would be, of course, the only just outcome for someone like him who committed so many crimes against this country. Congressman Matt Gaetz revealed via an on-the-record conversation that House investigators have now obtained new information about the spy campaign against Donald Trump. The White House is not yet fully informed, he says, regarding the extent to which intelligence was collected on the Trump campaign. There's more coming. He says we need to make sure the White House gets appropriately informed because it will not be enough to have Rod Rosenstein and others at the Justice Department investigate themselves. In other words, what we're looking at here is the complete corruption of the DOJ under Obama, the complete corruption of the FBI. The FBI was turned into a criminal weapon, really an organized crime ring under James Comey. The FBI, an organized crime ring. The DOJ running organized crime under Obama with his consent. He had to sign off on this. He had to be briefed on this. Obama is complicit in these astonishing crimes against America. And things are finally starting to turn around. You know, these have been dark days for America, thinking that the deep state could just nullify any election that they wanted by fabricating false evidence and coming up with a false Trump dossier and getting a FISA warrant based on false evidence presented to the FISA court judge that they could spy on any American they wanted. And the FBI even just issued national security letters. They didn't even get a warrant. They didn't have to go to the FISA judge. They just spied on people by claiming, asserting themselves that, oh, this person might be a threat to national security, so just spy on them. Yeah, that happens in America. This is a tyranny. The FBI is corrupt, probably beyond repair. But perhaps Wray is trying to repair the FBI's reputation, and I think we have to be open to that possibility. The FBI could rescue its disastrous reputation by participating in this investigation that winds up arresting and prosecuting James Comey. And Robert Mueller, of course, is complicit in this as well. These people, Comey and Mueller, they've been fixers for Clinton going back decades. Robert Mueller was involved in the Uranium One cover-up, where Clinton collected millions of dollars in exchange for approving the sale of strategic uranium supplies to Russia companies. It was actually Hillary Clinton who colluded with the Russians, and Robert Mueller helped her cover it up. And James Comey, I mean, he goes back to, I believe it's Comey. Wasn't he involved in the HSBC money laundering, the drug cartel money laundering, bank fraud? I think it's Comey that was on the board. I'm going to have to check that to be sure. But these two people, they've been Clinton fixers, they've been corrupt deep state agents, they've been cover-up artists, and I have no doubt that they have wielded the power of government to selectively prosecute their political enemies while covering for their political friends who routinely commit serious crimes against this country. You know, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Loretta Lynch, Robert Mueller, these individuals are vicious, vile traitors. They are a danger to a free republic. They must be prosecuted if we are to save this country. And it looks like that's finally going to happen. You know, I've recorded some podcasts recently that people have said, wow, man, you seem very intense and very serious and very concerned about what's going on in our world today. Yeah, of course I'm concerned. Because we voted for Trump. When I say we, I mean the American people. We voted for Trump. You know, I voted for Trump. I endorsed Trump because I knew how dirty Hillary Clinton was. At least I thought I did. But what I've learned now confirms over and over again so many times that she was even more corrupt and more dirty than I had imagined. And the Obama administration was more steeped in criminality than I had ever imagined. Now I know absolutely electing Trump was the right choice because, I mean, we knew Trump wasn't a saint. We knew he was a playboy. We knew he ran around with women. But we also knew that he was used to dealing with tough, mob bosses and union bosses and maybe, mafia types in New York who run different sectors of the construction business. Not that I know anything about construction in New York, but I guess this is the reputation. You know, the concrete company is run by a mob boss, let's say. You know, you hear things like that. So Trump was used to dealing with criminals. And guess what? That was perfect training for him being president so he could deal with the criminals of the Obama administration. Dealing with Hillary Clinton and James Comey and Barack Obama requires practice of being able to not be intimidated, being able to be adaptive, being able to go after people using the political power that he has in the White House without being taken out yourself. Because these tricky bastards like Robert Mueller and James Comey, they are such accomplished liars and deceivers. And James Comey is out there talking about himself like he's the only honest person in America, and he's the only one who can be trusted, and he always did things for the greater good and the highest ethics in the land. And he is a treasonous liar. He's a cover-up artist for Hillary Clinton. He belongs behind bars. He should be in prison for life, in my opinion, after a fair trial. And these people walk around with this aura as if they are the only honest people in the world. And everything they accuse Trump of doing, they're doing themselves. Oh, you're obstructing justice. No, they're obstructing justice. Oh, you're working with the Russians. No, they're working with the Russians. Oh, you're engaged in illegal spying. No, it was Obama. It was the Clintons. It was the DNC. It was Debbie Wasserman Schultz working with the Pakistani spies. The Arwan brothers who broke into the congressional email system and stole all the emails of how many members of Congress? Who knows? It's probably using that to blackmail them to this day. And Debbie Schultz has been protecting them. You know, these people are so corrupt and so dirty, the deep state has to be cleaned out. And I've said that many times. We've got to clean out this deep state once and for all. We have to do it. If we fail, and Trump is doing it. He's got enough pro-Trump people now in the bureaucracy where he can actually get some things done, because he spent the last, year and a half or more firing people who were Obama holdovers, leftovers, and he's been putting in pro-Trump people. And this is why the Senate has been stalling, all the confirmations to try to keep Trump people out of the systems of bureaucracy so that Trump couldn't get anything done. But he's been able to get some things done. And he is fighting against a system of such incredible corruption, a system steeped in so much evil and so much practice at deception and fabricating fake crimes. I mean, Robert Mueller is a master at making up fake crimes. Like he charged 13 Russian companies, I believe, with defrauding the United States of America by trying to steal the elections. And one of those companies showed up in court and said, we challenge your charges. Show us your evidence. And Mueller freaked out, didn't have any evidence. And it turns out that the names that he named, who he said worked in that company, those people don't even exist. They don't exist. The whole thing is a fraud. Robert Mueller fabricates fake charges. There were people rotting in prison, and there are some people who died in prison because Robert Mueller fabricated fake charges against them. He is the worst kind of dirty cop that you can imagine. He is a corrupt, dishonest, vindictive prosecutor who uses every power of the state. He exploits every angle. He weaponizes every sector under his command to unfairly and unjustly destroy his intended targets. And he does so completely outside the rules of law or ethics or morality or justice or reason. He does this because he is a deep state operative. He is a vicious, vile, evil human being. And like all the others who have conspired with him, like James Comey and Loretta Lynch, they all belong behind bars, in my view. Again, after a fair trial. We, the people, we want to have a shared future where we all live under a system of justice that is fair. And what we've come to realize, thanks to all the criminality of Obama and Clinton and James Comey and others, is that what we actually live under is a system of injustice that is run by a bunch of deep state traitors and criminals who grant themselves and each other complete immunity. Hillary Clinton, complete immunity. She destroyed evidence. She didn't intend to do it, James Comey said. She didn't have any intention. She had somebody else smash hard drives with hammers, but it wasn't Hillary's intention to cover up evidence. So he says no one would prosecute her. No reasonable prosecutor would prosecute her. Nonsense. And then they prosecute Michael Flynn for nothing. They say he lied to the government, but the FBI's own records show that they don't think he lied at all. But they raided his house, didn't they? Didn't they raid Flynn's house? I mean, they raided Cohen, they raided Manafort. I think they raided Flynn's house. Or at least they bankrupted him. They can come at you with false indictments and make you spend millions of dollars in your own defense. They've done the same thing to Roger Stone. And the reason they do that is because they want you to break and get you to admit to something you never did. Get you to admit guilt for lying to the government when you never lied. Michael Flynn never lied to the feds. It was a setup from the start. And by the way, that whole charge should be, evacuated from the court. Michael Flynn is, frankly, an American hero. And he should be vindicated in all of this, along with many, many others who have been falsely smeared and falsely prosecuted and indicted by Robert Mueller, who is a runaway loose cannon. Let me be even more specific here. Robert Mueller is a psychological terrorist. He uses the power of government as a weapon to terrorize his intended targets. These late-night raids on people like Michael Cohen or Manafort, these are tactics of terrorism that Robert Mueller willfully uses. Why? Because he, as part of the Clinton-Obama deep state, they are terrorists. They are traitors. They are criminals. This is how they run things. They believe in exploiting the power of authoritarian government to destroy their political enemies. And they injected spies into the Trump campaign, and they illegally spied on him. And yes, they tapped his wires, as Trump famously tweeted. And where is the apology from all those media outlets who said, oh, Trump must be insane. No one tapped Trump. And where is the apology? Remember when Obama, who was he talking to? Was it Chris Matthews or someone else? Trump was talking to them and he said, I guarantee there's no influence in the elections, like full stop, period. Right? It was, I forgot which journalist he was talking to. Maybe it was a Fox News. Was it Chris? I forgot. Anyway, he said there's no interference. He guarantees it. Well, now we know that there was actually a spy inserted into the Trump campaign. Where is Obama's apology? Where is the apology from the media that called all of us conspiracy theorists when we said, yeah, the Trump campaign was spied on? That Obama and Loretta Lynch and James Comey, they have conspired to illegally spy on Trump officials, which is why Trump moved out of the Trump Tower suddenly that one day and moved to a different location, because they had bugs, they had spy devices installed in Trump Tower, by the way. Trump was spied on from the beginning. Where's the apology from CNN? Where's the apology from the New York Times? You see, none of these media outlets can yet find the honesty to admit that Trump was spied on, that this was a wildly illegal campaign by Obama to try to entrap Trump officials, to violate U.S. law, to try to defraud the United States and steal an election. It's the worst kind of political corruption. To steal an election, to betray the American voter, to stab the American people in the back, and that's exactly what Obama did. And the media, still to this day, because they are complicit, you see, they're complicit. They're just as bad. The New York Times is a traitor newspaper. Understand, the CNN is filled with communists who despise America. The Washington Post is a discredited joke. The Washington Post has zero credibility. And they're on the record with lie after lie after lie, and actually working with treasonous criminals to leak false information in order to push an agenda to try to destroy the outcome of a U.S. election. That's the Washington Post. You know, frankly, I think that those organizations should be, they should be bankrupted by the people, everybody rejecting them and saying, no, we're not going to read your garbage anymore. But even more so, again, there are certain operatives who are specific traitors and who engage in acts of, sedition or treason against the United States, pretending to be journalists. And some of them, they might be indicted. Who knows? But people are going to go to jail. And that is good for America because we must reassert a system of law and justice. We have to reassert and demand that we have fair and free elections without collusion from opposing political parties trying to destroy a candidacy. And the Democrats, who you might as well just call Democrats at this point, the Democrats, all they know how to do is lie and cheat and commit fraud. They do it at every election. They do it at the local scale. They do it at the national scale. Democrats have no morals. They have no ethics, right? They're just evil, horrible, lying people. They're vicious, but they're plotting. They run conspiracies. They smear everybody that's their political opponent. And they do this knowingly. They do it deliberately. They have no morals, so it doesn't feel bad to them. You're like a normal human being, like you and I, because we have a sense of compassion, we have a sense of what is right and wrong, we have a moral compass. We couldn't do that to somebody else. We couldn't just make up false information and try to destroy their lives just out of spite, because we're not evil people. But these high-level Democrats, they are demons. They are evil people. They're seething with evil. It's the blood that courses through their dark veins, and they wake up thinking about ways to abuse the power of government to destroy their political enemies. That's what drives them every day. They don't care who they have to kill, who they have to frame, who they have to bribe, who they have to threaten or blackmail, you name it. It goes so deep and it's so dirty that most normal human beings almost can't even accept it because they can't imagine how evil these people are. They can't imagine that there are people that evil in the world. And they look at Obama and they think, oh, he's a handsome person. He's got charisma when he speaks. He sounds credible. But behind the scenes, he is a demon trying to destroy America. He is an anti-American zealot. He has a kind of anti-American fanaticism. He's willing to do anything to destroy this country. And he damn well nearly did it. Of 8 years of suffering and torture under that evil man. And lie after lie after lie. And to this day, he's continuing to try to thwart President Trump's administration. And he is still plotting behind the scenes. And he is breaking laws. And he may yet face prison himself. Which I guess might mean that Netflix will cancel the Obama specials. I guess we'll find out. Can you imagine if former President Obama goes to prison? Or even if Hillary Clinton gets indicted and goes to prison? I think, and I'm not endorsing this or recommending this or anything, but I think Hillary Clinton would probably commit suicide rather than go to prison. I think there's a lot of people like that. I wonder about John Brennan and people like that when they have to face justice for what they've done. What about James Comey when he has to face the music of the crimes that he has committed and the cover-up that he has been part of? And think about this, the way that he destroyed the credibility of the FBI, an agency that by and large is filled with well-meaning men and women. I mean, I know former FBI agents, good people. The man on the street and the woman on the street working for the FBI, they're not evil. And yet, even they look at this and they're like, you a-hole, James Comey, you destroyed the reputation of our entire group. The FBI has no credibility anymore. If the FBI comes to talk to people now, people just laugh at them. Say, you guys are full of it. You guys you're fraudulent. You're not even engaged in lawful activity. You don't represent law. You represent corruption and fraud. And that's what the FBI agents now have to deal with because of James Comey. If you want to restore that, you gotta arrest James Comey. You gotta charge him. You gotta indict him. And the FBI needs to send a powerful message to the whole country where the FBI says, we will police our own people. We will out the traitors. We will out the criminals within our own organization. And by doing so, they can restore their reputation. And I'm open to that. maybe I'll have something good to say about the FBI again. But for now, zero trust in the FBI. Because if they can't police their own people, how can they police everybody else? If they can't, see that, Comey is such a corrupt, evil traitor who ran the agency, if they can't even name him and present evidence against him and indict him, through the DOJ, then how can anybody else in America have any faith in federal law enforcement? Seriously. And if Jeff Sessions, that puny little, that guy is so frustrating to everybody because we know they've got something on him. We know that he's stalling. We know that he's now working for the deep state. You got to get him out of the way. But if the DOJ wants to restore its reputation, it needs to prosecute some people too, including former people who worked for the DOJ or who were run by the DOJ under Obama. What's at stake here is the future of public faith in the entire federal system of justice and law enforcement. And that's a big deal. And I should almost state that again. What is at future is the public faith in the entire system, think about it, of law enforcement and justice for this country. The rule of law, it is a psychological construct that is shared among the minds of the citizens. Think about it. What is the rule of law? Well, it's a bunch of stuff written down on paper. How does it have power? It only has power because you give it power, because we, the people, agree to abide by those laws. What is that faith based on? It's based on the assumption that the laws will be applied equally and that no one is above the law. Not Hillary Clinton, not James Comey, not Loretta Lynch, and especially not the people running the systems of justice and law and law enforcement investigations. They, above all, should not be above the law. Does that make sense? Most importantly, they should be subjected to scrutiny under law. And yet, the message that the American people are getting so far is, screw you, little people. You, little American people, you don't matter. Yeah, we can prosecute you for lying. We can incriminate you for made-up crimes. But we, the elitists in the FBI, the elitists in the DOJ, the elitists under Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, we are immune to all prosecution. We can commit any crimes we want, they say, because they can never be prosecuted because the system of law and justice is not applied equally. The day that the American people fully realize that, frankly, is the day that the faith in the system of law and justice breaks down and people say to themselves, either consciously or unconsciously, F it. Why should we, the people, I'm imagining some person saying this to himself, why should they follow the laws when the highest law offices in the land refuse to enforce laws against their own people? Why should a little guy have to follow laws if the big guys never follow the laws and routinely break the laws and then grant themselves legal immunity? You see, the very fabric, the shared psychology, this mental construct of law is so fragile. The civility of society is so fragile. And when it is violated by such a powerful office, such as the FBI or the DOJ or the Office of the Presidency under Obama, it shatters the very fabric of society that keeps society civil. Shatters it, which is exactly what Obama wanted. Obama, remember, wanted America to break down into chaos. He wanted civil unrest. He wanted civil war. He wanted racial tension. And he fed it at every opportunity, constantly. He didn't want peace. He didn't want real justice. Hillary Clinton talks about equality all day. She doesn't want real equality, especially not for her, you see. She wants inequality where she has special protections that are never afforded anyone else. And that system, the American people will not tolerate. The American people will not tolerate that because we are not subjects under some king and queen. We don't get all excited and jump up and down because some British royalty is getting married somewhere. Who gives a crap? Prince whatever, Prince Furball, who cares? This is America. We're supposed to be equal under the law. We are supposed to have the same rights, the same presumptions of innocence, the same privacy, the same protections under the Fourth Amendment, for example. And yet that is not what has been happening. And so the very fabric of this nation is right now being shattered. And President Trump has a chance to help put it back together. And FBI Director Wray has a chance to help put it back together. And Jeff Sessions, if he would get off his ass and do something, has a chance to put some of this country back together. But he's too meek. He just what do you call Jeff Sessions? I don't even know. I don't want to go there because I don't want to insult the man anymore. Just the fact that he exists every day is an insult to this nation. I'll just put it that way. He needs to be out of there. Long overdue. His welcome is gone in the DOJ. So this in summary, it looks like this is turning in a positive direction. We need to see the indictments of these individuals in order for public faith in the rule of law to be restored. As this happens, though, the left is going to go even more insane than they are already. Because the left-wing media will continue to lie to their audience, and they will uninform or keep their people misinformed, and those people will think, because they're being told that this is Trump impeding an investigation, that this is Trump, they will say, obstructing justice. And the left will go insane, and there'll be George Soros money thrown at a bunch of homeless protesters, and they'll rise up in cities across America, and they'll try to protest, and they'll try to set fire to buildings and arson and, you know, bomb government buildings and the things that Antifa does, you know, cracking skulls with bike locks and basically committing mass murder, mayhem, and maiming. The three M's of Antifa. Mayhem, maiming, mayhem, and murder. That's Antifa for you right there. They call themselves anti-fascists, and they function like Hitler's brown shirts, you know, except they're a lot more violent in a way. So this is why we're going to have probably a major conflict coming up in America, and we probably will have some forms of martial law. We'll probably have very powerful police forces on the streets. And as I predicted over a year ago, you will beg for martial law. You will beg for martial law because it's going to get so bad, I predict, that the chaos will be so uncontrollable, you will beg for martial law. And there will be outbreaks probably of, shooting violence in certain places. There will be little pockets of civil war, you might say, because it's not hard to imagine if Antifa gets out of control in some city, as the criminal deep state people are being arrested and indicted, and Barack Obama maybe is facing prison time and Hillary Clinton's facing prison time, and the radical left comes out into the streets and they start burning buildings down and just like murdering random people. It's not hard to imagine. And I'm not endorsing this, okay? This is an analysis, not a call to action, but it's not hard to imagine certain, America-loving patriots protecting their local communities and just literally joining local sheriff's deputies and police with their AR-15 rifles and just opening up on those Antifa terrorists who are murdering people, in the name of self-defense and with the blessing of local law enforcement, by the way. Not hard to imagine a lot of sheriff's departments deputizing large groups of armed, Second Amendment Americans to say, we need your support. We're under attack. Antifa is threatening our community. And we got to defend, honest citizens. We got to defend the elderly. We got to defend the children. We got to defend, these housing communities and the schools and so on. And we need your help. So it's not hard to imagine that happening. And that could easily escalate into civil war types of conflicts. And then you have cities like San Francisco, which will, of course, side with the terrorists. So San Francisco will say that they love MS-13. They're going to invite in all the gang members and Antifa and like Hamas terrorists, just have like a terrorist city. And they will claim sanctuary protection for all the terrorists, And meanwhile, rural Californians will be like, no, you're not. You're not going to just let all these terrorists into our state. And there could be some conflict there. Not hard to see that coming. Again, I never call for violence. I'm analyzing the situation and hoping that peace and peace and stability can be here, and so we can avert these things. Because frankly, violence and chaos is bad for business, for everybody, for the stock market. It's bad for the economy. It's bad for obviously the victims of the violence and so on. It's just it's a bad scene. But that's what the left wants. So they're going to try to whip that up as this is happening. So watch for that. It's going to hit the fan very soon. I got a couple of websites that you might want to check as all this really starts to unfold. Well, let me give you a couple of things. Number one, my show, counterthink.com. It airs at 6 p.m. every Sunday on Infowars.com, and I film one episode per week at the Infowars studios where I interview different guests. Mostly that's in the realm of science and medicine, by the way, not politics. So if you enjoy science and medicine investigations, check out that show. Counterthink.com, perhaps where you're watching this, is my main website for these breaking news reports. I also publish newstarget.com and Trump.news and collapse.news, which talks about the coming collapse, economic collapse, social collapse, all these issues, some preparedness and survival information on those websites as well. Finally, I'm launching an alternative to YouTube called Real.video, and this is the uncensored alternative to YouTube, and it allows you to have a free speech voice, to have your own video channel. It's free to use, no charge to you, of course, and you can post videos there without the kind of censorship that YouTube has been, pushing onto everyone. You can't post illegal videos or, videos espousing violence or calling for certain people to be killed or showing people how to make, terror bomb vests or things like that, obviously. So there are limits to free speech. I hope you recognize that. But as long as it's legal, we're not going to censor you for political correctness or anything like that. You just got to keep it legal. So, you can read more details about our policy on Real.video as it launches, but you can go there right now and request a video channel. It's going to be a very educational and very popular video platform. We've already got over 20,000 people who have requested video channels there so far, and I checked that many days ago, so it's a lot more probably by now. YouTube is banning people every day. All those people are rushing over to Real.video because that's where they're going to have free speech. I'll have a channel there as well, but I'm mostly going to let others speak more. I'll probably be doing fewer of my own episodes of Counterthink, but focusing more on building out the platform and protecting free speech, because there will be these deep state criminals who will try to shut it down. They'll try to destroy it. They'll try to discredit it. And the media will attack it, of course, because that's, they're lying scum. That's what they do. They hate America. They hate freedom of speech. So they will attack it, no doubt. But through real Americans and people who love liberty and people who love natural medicine and love freedom and love the Second Amendment and all these things that matter to our liberties, Real.video is going to be a very powerful site. So check it out. Lastly, God bless America. Make America great again. Build the wall, drain the swamp, lock her up. That's what I say. And it looks like all those things may be happening very soon. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching. If you want to support our mission, visit us at healthrangerstore.com for the world's largest selection of lab-verified superfood and nutritional products for healthy living. It's at healthrangerstore.com.